Hi, Kate here, occupational therapist for Wandsworth Autism Advisory Service. In this short video, I'm going to explain what a sensory circuit is and how you can create one with your child. A sensory circuit is a set of activities designed to meet your child's sensory needs and support their sensory regulation. Red, alerting activities, which wake up the body and the brain and alert the central nervous system. Amber, organising activities, where the body and the brain are working together, providing organising input for the central nervous system. And then green, calming activities, which relax the body, the brain and the central nervous system. You can spend 2 to 3 minutes on each activity for each step of the sensory circuit. So a full circuit might take 10 to 15 minutes. Sensory circuits can be carried out at any point in the day. You might want to do one in the morning, before bedtime, or before an activity that requires your child to be in a calm, alert state. It's important to end sensory circuits with a calming activity, as some children might become overexcited or overstimulated if they take part in alerting activities for a prolonged amount of time. And this might be something you want to try at home. And you can see here for my red alerting activity, I selected jumping jacks. For my amber organising activity, I went for balancing on one leg. And for the green calming activity, I chose wall push-ups. In the next part of the video, my colleagues and I are going to show you some example activities for each part of the circuit.
Hiya, it's Barbara here from Wandsworth Autism Advisory Service, and I'm here to talk you through the first phase of sensory circuits. So alerting activities are supposed to stimulate the sensory, usually vestibular system of a child in a controlled environment. This is quite important to note, as we really need our children to be safe at all times. These activities also tend to prepare the brain for learning and for the demands of school environment. They try and wake up and energize the sensory system. When thinking about waking up, it's often good to think of what wakes you up. Is it a sip of cold water, a bit of dancing or singing, or just some fresher and cooler temperatures? For that reason, I'm going to show you the exercises outside. However, you should feel free to stay inside and just crack the window open if necessary. So these were just few activities you can enjoy without any use of equipment. However, if you would like to use some equipment for alerting activities, the top favorites one tend to be trampoline and the big therapy bouncy ball. So if we're talking about trampoline, please make sure it's safe and try and cover up the metal strings. Also, if your child feels a bit unstable on the trampoline, maybe try to hold on to their hands and support them in that way until they're able to bounce on their own. If they're bouncing on the therapy ball, maybe support their hips very lightly and try to control the motion of the bouncing until they're comfortable with it. When it comes to safety on the therapy ball, please do make sure that it doesn't roll over as the child is trying to sit on top of it or climb off it. Also, try and make sure that the child's feet are touching the floor when sitting on the ball. All these alerting activities are a lot of fun, but there's still a lot of things to consider. The thresholds of each student will definitely vary, so you really need to reach your audience. Some children might become too overstimulated, so you should think about moving them on to next activity as soon as possible. Ideally, giving them a visual countdown, 5 to 1, or you can also use a big sand timer to really show them how much time is left within that activity. Other children might not be stimulated enough, so they might have to do the alerting activities for a bit longer, as they need a bit more of that sensory input. You can also skip the alerting activities of a sensory circuit if the arousal levels are already quite high and you feel that your child is overstimulated. Once you finish the alerting activities of a sensory circuit, it's time to move on to the organizing activities.
Okay, I'm going to show you some organising activities for a sensory circuit. So these activities require multi-sensory processing, balance and weight bearing through muscles and joints. Organising activities should be carried out in the middle of your circuit to help your child organise their movements and behaviours. Okay, so one of the first things I want to show you is nice and simple and easy to do at home, and it's actually just pairing up socks and bundling them up. So sorting them out into their different colours, their matching pairs, and bundling up, and this movement is really good because the socks are nice and stretchy and it provides good input. And then you can even combine this with a target practice activity and try and get them in. Okay. Another thing you can easily do at home, if you have coloured paper and any types of coloured toys, I have some blocks. You can sort them out into their different colours, and that works really nicely, so you can just adapt that to whatever you have at home really. Another good thing to do in the organising section is anything to do with balance. So you can, if you have masking tape, you could masking tape out like a tightrope or even just a scarf. And you can like fold it to make it smaller and smaller, and then get your child to tiptoe along it or even crawl along it. That sort of thing is really good. And remember, when you're doing things with balance, always offer your child lots of support if they need it, but do try to gradually reduce that support so they get more independent and they build up those balancing skills, because balancing can be quite tricky, so it's really important to try and make it as fun as possible as well. There's lots of other really simple things you can do for an organising section, maybe just like keeping a balloon up or keeping a ball up, going under, over, those sorts of games are really good. And even just really simple things you can do that don't need anything, like Simon Says or different types of animal walks, even just rolling on the floor or crawling on the floor. These are all great organising activities. You can even get really creative, and things like obstacle courses are really good. You can even masking tape out like mazes on the floor, that sort of thing. So you can have lots of fun with it, and it's really simple to find these organising activities in your home. There's all sorts of things you can do.
So these are activities that relax the body, the brain and the central nervous system. They should be carried out at the end of a circuit, so your child finishes the circuit in a calm, alert state. The first couple of activities are resistance type activities and provide the body with proprioceptive input. And this type of input tells us where our body is in space and provides lots of feedback to the muscles and joints, which is calming for the central nervous system. So place the exercise band over the palms and then the thumbs over the exercise band. And we're going to pull for a count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It gives lots of nice feedback to the hands and the fingers, the wrist joints, elbow joints and shoulder joints. So if you don't have the exercise band, you could use a hair bubble, a scrunchie. I found this in the house earlier. So support your child to place their hands in the hair bubble, and then again you can just push back against the resistance of that hairband, and it's giving some nice feedback to the hands. You could do that for a count of 10 or 20, or use a timer for 30 seconds. And you could even just pull the hairband as opposed to putting the hands inside. And you could just use one hand to stretch open that hair bubble. If you don't have a hair bubble, you could use a sock. It's just a stretchy, and again, clasp the sock and do some pulls, stretch it different ways. And again, a nice stretch for the hands, which gives lots of feedback to the fingers and the hands. Place your hand in the sock and then release and open up the palm and fingers. So then closing up the palm and then opening up the palm and fingers. Lots of feedback from pushing against the stretchy material of the sock. Next couple of activities, again resistance type activities, will provide that proprioceptive input, which is a calming input. The first one is hand clasps, so placing one hand over the other, clasping, and then pulling for a count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can just release the hands and shoulders and shake it out a little bit. Similarly, you could do palm presses, so palms against one another and just pushing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You might have to help your child just adopt those postures and give them some support, perhaps through the hands, some hand over hand, or pushing the elbows so they get that sensation and understand the movement there. A really nice calming activity that I like, which would work really well in the green calming activities for the sensory circuit, is a body hug. So it's literally just hugging yourself. So wrapping your arms around, supporting your child to adopt this posture, seeing if you can get right round to the back, giving yourself a nice deep hug and squeeze. You can hold it there for 30 seconds, or even up to a minute, and take some deep breaths. And then you could swap around to even it up. So taking a nice deep breath in, deep breath out. And then to finish, it's quite nice just to squeeze down the arms, down the forearms, the wrists and the hands, and then releasing it all. Finally, I wanted to share a couple of breath exercises. The first one I call a horse breath, because it sounds like a horse as it exhales out. So taking a deep breath in, and then exhaling. You're just relaxing the lips, the mouth, and the jaw. Taking a deep breath in, and then exhaling. So that's our horsey breath. And the other breath exercise is called exploding volcano, which sounds quite exciting, but actually the sound that we make when we're exhaling is a really relaxing sound and facilitates a relaxing breath. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. So lifting the arms up as you inhale, and then exhaling with a sound. So inhaling as the arms come up, and then exhaling as they come down. Hopefully this gives you some ideas for creating activities for the calming part of your child's sensory circuit. You can work together with your child to decide what calming activities they prefer and which calming activities work for them. I hope this video about sensory circuits has been helpful and you feel able to go away, have some fun, create some sensory circuits with your child, maybe even create a sensory circuit for yourself. Thanks so much for watching.